3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome aboard the Postgame Show alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Appreciate you being with us. Tuesdays during football season means BREWSDAY. And today, a very special edition of BREWSDAY.
Celebrating the original BREWSDAY.
That's right. Our good friend Ryan Brewer is here, the former Gamecock running back, wide receiver, kick returner, punt returner, special teams gunner, team captain, husband, father, coach, business owner.
I love how you ran through that like side effects of a medicine commercial.
Yes. Got to get it all in. It's a lot.
And you only have so much time.
Yeah, and you're not even close either. So it's good. Good.
That's close. Hey, all those things are accurate.
No, all the side effects I'm talking about.
Oh.
But, Terry had an opportunity there for the greatest day in the history of the world and did not mention the greatest day. So,
well, we're celebrating it.
Yeah.
Even threw out a little GIF or GIF, if you like. I don't know which one people prefer.
GIF.
That's what I think, too. But some people like to say GIF of one of the most underappreciated and underrated comedies of all time, in my opinion. And that's a bold statement, but Easy Money with Rodney Dangerfield and Joe Pesci. So little birthday celebration to remember, really. And for those of you who know, if you know, you know. That's one of the things the kids say.
Wow, look at you. Gen Z, Jay Phillips.
Thank you.
I think Joe Pesci said that in that movie.
That's right. He did. That's right.
That's where it really came from.
He's the guy who put the toilets in this place. Again, you got to see that.
Yeah.
It's great. It's such a great movie. Anyway, happy birthday, man. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing awesome. I figured we were going to go in here for about an hour rant on officiating. Is that what we're doing?
That was yesterday.
You okay in the booth in there?
That was yesterday's program.
Throwing up yet?
I've actually, I want more. Yeah, I'm turning myself into a masochist. I want more.
I don't know how many off-air things Elijah had to hear yesterday.
Yeah.
Relative to what we did get on air.
I don't want to get into the rant.
Yeah, you do.
But I did probably punch my steering wheel 4 or 5 times every time you said about the Imawari pick 6.
Yeah.
And his hands being 6 inches high or lower would have been fine.
Right.
And then you said that 3 refs throwing the flag so they can't be wrong. No, all 3 of those freaking refs are wrong.
Well, I didn't say they were right. I just said 3 of them.
You said 3 of them. You said it multiple times. You were totally saying that if 3 threw it, it has to be right.
I'm just saying 3
It's
threw.
how you said it too. I wanted to come here and clothesline you right off the bat. I figured that's just how we start the show off. I'm just going to throw a mic at you and take you out.
What did I say? Like 3.
They're great for the video stream.
3 flags thrown or threw 3 flags. Like it was kind of hard to say.
Were all 3 of them the new SEC refs too?
Well, one of them was. That? Well, Shane was actually rather high on the referee. At least, who
he has to be because he's probably going to see him again.
Yes, he is.
I mean, and again and again and again.
More than likely.
So I mean, it's not like you can you can't throw him on the bus because he probably gets fined, even though they can do whatever the hell they want to do. So
well, like I said, it was a picky call. I did.
You were on the ref side. You were such apologetic for the. I mean, it was so bad. It was so bad yesterday.
Thank you.
I was so frustrated. I'm still frustrated. I'm like, I'm feeling it right now. This chair may go through the window.
Well, don't do that. I mean, if you owned a glass company, I'd say
I felt so bad for Kennard, man. What a great game he had, and just a.
Well, do you agree with the 6 inches lower? It's not a flag.
No, because he flopped like he was playing in the MLS. I mean, it doesn't matter. All they cared about was how he landed. They didn't care about anything else besides that. If they cared about 6 inches higher, they would have called it on our quarterback when he threw the interception and got smoked in the face.
Well, that's
same
now
freaking officials are sitting there,
that
right?
Part is
same
fair.
Daggone guys.
That part is fair, and I do think that is one of the things that they, in all seriousness, would like some clarification on.
And our guy was 6 inches lower than that hit, so it didn't matter. So you want him just to punch him in the gut, and he'd been fine. It's a block on the shoulder pad. I don't care. 6. What does that matter? Makes no sense to me. His helmet did not hit his head. His hands did not hit his head.
Right.
He didn't even hit him. It was like a little jab.
No, I'm not disagreeing. What I said yesterday is don't give him anything to use against you.
He should have got a red card for that because then for flopping. I'm not talking about Kennard. I'm talking about whatever the quarterback's name is. Nussmeier.
Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah, for flopping.
It was floppy. And we mentioned that yesterday. He sold it.
I thought he died.
He sold it.
I thought he was gone for the rest of the game.
It did look as if he had been shot.
I believe he thought he did too because the throw was so bad.
Yes.
That he's like, I got to do something to make this up.
Yes.
I'm sure he screamed like a little whatever too when he did it.
I don't know.
Well, that's how you sell it. You
Happy
can't
birthday,
sell it without
Ryan.
the scream.
Anyway,
You okay with everything
on the
else?
ref side.
I'm not on the ref side. I will say this, though, since you brought it up now, okay, and how I was yesterday. The only one.
There's more than one.
Well, the only caller yesterday that got under my skin in a bad way was the dude who said if we were wearing somebody else's uniform, and I was like, dude, don't think that way. That's I'm not. I can't.
I don't think that way.
I can't take you down that path.
But the two plays that I just compared to, it's like, what the hell?
Well, I would love
because right there, you're like, if you're watching the same way intently, on the throw, on the hit, and there's no way you can't call it the same. You got to say,
I don't
we got
disagree
hands
with
to the face. That interception there's a huge deal.
I don't disagree with that at all. At all. I do not disagree. But what I've said is, just don't give them anything. And Shane mentioned that in postgame.
And no matter what, we still should have won the game on those calls. We had so many dumb penalties that we got to figure out with the whole ineligible men downfield.
Well, that's three games, and they've been flagged for that at least once in every game. And that's and
that's the RPO type deal, but it's also we have an O-line that's finally aggressive.
Yeah,
they want to get downfield and hit somebody.
Yeah,
can't fault them for that, but you got to be smarter.
Well, you got to know. I mean, because two of them have taken scores away. I mean, one was a touchdown in the first game on a fake, which again you kind of showed your hand on the fake, and then the other was the 2-pointer, right? Was that the call?
The one where Robbie Ashford pulled the rabbit out of his hat and found somebody in that end zone.
Yeah, we also have some first downs taken away, things like that. But yes, that was, again, you have a quarterback and now two quarterbacks that can scramble. When they start moving around, their first thought is, I got to go hit somebody. I'm not going to sit here and, let me go find somebody. I get that. But it's also how stay disciplined now, learning from that, whatever. But there was just so many just weird. That game, I think I tweeted out, just so many what ifs, should ifs, opportunities there I've never seen before. And we've been through a lot. Even myself, I said that before. The Georgia game, and the Statue of Liberty play with Pollock and, on Rory, and then if Andrew just catches the pitch, he walks in the end zone and we beat Georgia. But that was
0-2. Yep.
But there's a lot of games, Florida game. Everybody's started mentioning games, but that one's like it was unbelievable how many things. Just one play, this whole thing changes. One flag, the whole game changes. I still don't understand the offensive pass interference one. I went back and I still don't understand it.
Yeah, that one's again.
That's the most questionable one I thought. I couldn't see it at all. Like no angle where I saw.
If it's a slot receiver, if it's on them, he ran a hitch route, a deep hitch, settled down, maybe bumped into him, turned around for the ball.
Well, yeah, the guy ran into him because he stopped on that hitch. That's the thing.
Was a hitch.
Like that's part of running a really good route.
Yeah, you always press the shoulders. You try to get them back pedal. He didn't back pedal. You get into him, you turn around. It wasn't a pick play. It wasn't. It's just I don't. Something else happened, and I'm guessing, and they threw a flag. And they'll tell me later.
Yeah, well, and that's just it. And here, and let me again be serious about this because this goes back. I told Elijah. I mean, Elijah and I've been working together now for nearly a year, but I've been going back for years on this. And Chris Clark had a piece about it today, and I retweeted what Chris said at Gamecock Central before he came on the air this morning. There needs to be we don't need to have the officials do a press conference in front of the entire assembled media at whatever game. But a pool report, fans want to know. And I think it's okay for fans to know. I think the problem is leagues, and I mean this from the professionals down to high school, don't want, they don't want to admit publicly about how many bad calls there are because they would start to rack up. Even if the percentage of them would be 2-3% per game, 5% per game, which, they grade out umpires at the end of the year in Major League Baseball. And you realize, man, they get most of them right, but they get a lot of stuff wrong. And sometimes it's very crucial. I don't think there's any problem with that level of public accountability. Fans pay money for this. Fans invest their time, their emotion in this. But I just think the leagues are very concerned about having to basically come back and go, yeah, we blew it. Chris referenced the 2019 Florida game, which had those two just horribly missed non-calls.
But the 40-yard holding?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah. And I told Elijah that one was so bad that Greg Sankey himself the following Tuesday put out a statement. Now, it was a nothing burger statement, but it was meant to say, dear SEC fans, I promise you as commissioner, we do hold our officials accountable. But that was it.
Can I ask you, so all officials are not full-time?
None of them are.
Is the head of officials full-time? Okay.
Yes.
Does he make a decent amount of money?
I would think he does all right.
Okay. And with all this money going on, can he make a little bit more money?
You could always make more.
Can he, when he sends this tape back to Shane or whatever, can this not be public record now?
I think it should be, Ryan.
I mean, why?
That's
not?
what I'm saying.
So
I think it should be
accountable. He didn't really make the calls.
No,
right? So,
he makes none of them.
But I'm going to tell you why these calls are made, and I'll tell you if they were missed or not, and we'll hold them accountable. But that way, at least someone who's getting paid a decent amount of money and has not completely on the chopping block, but he's hiring and firing whatever,
right,
can make this. This is my call. This is why these were made. At least would get people to say, okay, I see that human error versus, be honest about it. Hey, he just missed it. He thought it was this and that. That would make. I would get. Majority of these things, you might get people fired up a little bit, but
it would. And
I mean, like Hernandez misses every strike call coming in, and everybody gets fired up about it. But we know he's bad. We know he's going to miss this, right? At least we know, hey, this official is going to call this play. This is why he's calling this play. It makes sense to me. I told Elijah yesterday, and listeners that are I'm a big Braves fan. Again, a call from 12 years ago still gets under my skin. So I get it. And people will tell me, oh, but it was applied correctly. I'm like, no. Like it's a rule, but it was applied poorly. So, and again, most of these calls in football are subjective. When you think about it, there are very few things from a flag throwing perspective that are able to be reviewed. The vast majority, I don't even know. Can you review an offside?
No, you cannot.
I didn't. Maybe just on a scoring play.
But also, look.
Maybe.
Why can't you? Those two are scoring plays of pick sixes. Why can't they review those?
Because the call, and I'm not pushing back on you here, but again, because those are subjective calls, like holding, and so because of that, it's in that person's mind. That's a penalty.
Isn't that the whole point of reviewing it, though?
You can't go back and review it. The only one, the only subjective call in football that is reviewable is targeting. Unless I'm forgetting one. Remember the NFL tried it with pass interference and it failed miserably
because they were bad at that too.
So they went back on that one,
and then they made the games longer. You know how long the game was on Saturday?
It was over 4 hours.
All right, so here
it was 3 hours. 59 minutes.
I know we don't want to do this whole show on just this, but two more. So when Shane made the comments, we're talking about the officiating and what the response was. I was so I have to see this video. I want to see this video so bad. I got to find a way to find. I mean, this has to become public. Now, with all that's out there in this world, this has to leak out. Right?
And I think the SEC.
I just want to know the answer to a couple questions. A couple calls we talked about. That's all I want to know.
Yeah. The
other thing is, why the hell did these officials huddle up on all of the stupid calls that had nothing to do with it, but all the big calls.
Right, I did notice.
Those are perfectly fine.
I did.
Oh, we're not going to huddle on those. We're going to slow this game down.
Yeah.
So freaking slow. We're going to make it so long and kill the momentum. Kill the momentum of what we got going on for
offside.
Offsides.
Yeah. Yeah, they did
not a pick six.
They did a couple times on the offside.
Not a phantom OPI. What the hell?
Yeah, I did kind of.
Sorry. Okay, I'm done. I'm not though, but I'm done.
Well, I mean, it's your birthday, man.
I know.
So, yeah, we're here for you. I feel like we need to
huddle up and talk about this.
Well, you know what? Luckily, we hit up right on a break here. We'll talk some football.
Hey, we like talking about football.
Yeah, we'll go back into that a little bit. We'll look ahead. Why Ryan hates the city of Akron as a guy from the city of Troy in Ohio.
This is the only week we could ever have Akron hate.
He doesn't hate. I don't think he hates Akron.
I mean, the Zips.
Yeah, but we can for today, though.
Yeah.
This is the only time we can.
Or any other Mac hate that he may have as an Ohioan. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Deep breaths.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Right. Happy birthday, Ryan Brewer.
I don't think a chair's going through the window yet.
And Liz is going to blame me for getting you all fired.
Yet.
I mean, I don't need that. It's the postgame show. Cato's Power Equipment. Maybe we get a big enough blower and just blow all the flags off the field and it won't ever be a problem again. Ben Cato, get to work on that, my man. Otherwise, it is that time of year where you might need a brand new backpack blower. They got some great deals on steel backpack blowers right now, especially those of you who are in the industry. Out there doing it for a living every day, working hard, stop into Cato's. Maybe you love what you had. Time to get it serviced up for the fall months when you still got to cut and blow and get everything else nice and taken care of. See Ben Cato, Matt, the entire crew, family owned at Cato's since 1983, 4012 West Beltline Boulevard. Always online at catospowerequipment.com. Again, if you're doing it for a living especially, there is a lot to do this time of year. Get on to the next job that much quicker with brand new equipment, serviced equipment, and the expertise of the folks at Cato's. Love what they've done for me. You will too. See them soon. Cato's Power Equipment. Twenty minutes after 3 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. It's the Postgame Show. Jay, Elijah, Ryan is here on BREWSDAY. Happy birthday to Ryan Brewer.
Thank you, sir.
How you doing?
I just checked my Oura Ring watch, or my Oura Ring, and said I was pretty stressed right now.
Does it do your blood pressure?
It does everything, and it's I don't know how, but it's yeah.
Yeah, like 310 over 12.
We got this. We got this.
Before we do anything else, looks like we have somebody on the guest line that wants to weigh in on this and potentially other things. So we'll.
Yeah, we haven't done this in years.
We'll do that. Here's our good friend, the former Gamecock quarterback and amazing high school football coach, Eric Kimry. What's up, Coach?
What's up, guys? How we doing?
Well, you missed the first segment, but your good friend Ryan Brewer about had a aneurysm or something. He's not happy with the officiating after Saturday.
Well, I know he is getting old now, and it's a special day to celebrate another year in his life. But Ryan, I don't need you to have an aneurysm on me, okay?
I'm good. I'm just about to throw chairs through windows, but other than that, we're good.
Yeah, he's going to throw me through.
Well,
yeah, if Jay keeps siding with the refs, it's going to be Jay going through the window.
Well, Jay, of all the people I know and played football with, the first guy I think would throw a chair through a window would be Ryan Brewer.
Sure.
So watch out.
They look pretty thick, but I can do it.
There's 2 panes of glass here. You've been in here, but I said too bad he doesn't own a glass company. It'd be fine. He could throw all the ones he wants, but a fence through here isn't going to be good. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing good. Just getting ready for another game. We're 4-0 up here at Baylor, so that's a good start. We've beaten 2 really, really good football teams early in our schedule, guys that were nationally ranked at the beginning of the year. And just getting ready for kind of what we call in the home stretch of our schedule. But it's been a rewarding year so far.
Yeah, that's good stuff. How many times did Lou Holtz sing Happy Birthday to Ryan Brewer?
Well, I remember a specific time him wishing Merry Christmas to him, but I don't think we want to tell that story on air. But probably never would be my guess.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one.
I know
you're right on that one.
I mean, it's football season. You should.
You can't play favorites, right? You're right. You can't do that.
No.
Right.
Yeah, Lou never did that, according to the guys that played. Did he ever even wish you a happy birthday? We didn't sing.
I would.
Did he know it was your birthday?
I doubt that he
did. Skip at least say happy birthday?
I don't think he wished Skip a happy birthday.
Oh, that's too bad.
I think that's true.
That's too bad. Well, Coach, appreciate you calling in, and I think Ryan's he's having a birthday. How happy a birthday it is.
It's great. It's perfect.
Remains to be seen.
It's perfect.
Well, I just wanted to say happy birthday, brother.
Appreciate you.
All the guys we played with. Yeah, this guy was one of the best for sure, and all of us that played with him during those years appreciated his leadership, and I think that you see all those same qualities the way that he is in our community in Columbia, and the leadership he has in the business world there, and still with the Gamecock family. So you're much appreciated, buddy. I miss you. I love you, and I wish you a happy birthday.
I appreciate you, and keep kicking ass up there in Baylor, and love you too, bud.
All right, man. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, Eric. You bet, man. Nah, good stuff. Good stuff. That's our good friend Eric Kimry. Look at that. That was nice.
Yeah, trying to calm me down. Did you guys plan that? Is that what it was?
No.
Hey, man, we need to calm Ryan down.
Yeah.
No, but he seriously goes up to Baylor and just starts dominating right away.
I mean,
his football IQ and mine is, I don't even know how to explain it. It's unbelievable.
Listening to him just talk about things has been fun. One night, and in fact, I'll tell you, without going into great detail, one night walking from his house to your house on Halloween, I just let him go. He got into a play calling thing. I think it was maybe like a Wednesday. I forget who they were prepping for. And I got like the best, 15-minute, 20-minute, because we had to stop at a few houses, right? Like football education I've ever gotten. And that was like a lecture.
Just out of nowhere, too.
Yeah. Well, it was out of somewhere. Because it was like, hey, Game Friday, your thoughts. And
yeah, that was the most fun you had with him. Have a couple beers, beverages, and sit there and you just let him have go on a little rant on something, anything, and it's just like, holy cow.
He's a very intelligent,
very intelligent,
yeah, very intelligent person. We all try to be, but doesn't always work out.
Not at all.
All right, we've talked about a couple of the negatives from Saturday. And no loss is fun. Tough losses are especially difficult, and it was to be perfectly fair. I even said that right after the game on Twitter. I was like, "This one was tough. That was hard." We did see a lot of explosives. I know a few got called back, but they are proof that you can do it. You also saw the 2 that were touchdowns. So I'm not here to say moral victory. You know me well enough, and I know you well enough. but it's game 3 of 12. And you did see real signs of what your team can be if you just eliminate a couple of those kind of things.
So my first tweet afterwards was, we have a good football team. And there's no doubt after that game, and as a first thing, I was fortunate enough to be on the field at the end of the game and saw some of the players and coaches, and it's like, get your heads up. This is a good football team. Some bad bounces, some bad breaks happened in this game, but you all fought. There were a lot more positives than negatives in this game, and that's something, I think they can strive on that, and you can grow on that. It's not again moral victory like you said, but it was a great battle to see offense starting to move. That first drive was just awesome,
methodical.
It was. I was like, holy cow. And again, LSU in the first couple of games, they've given up big plays. They've given up big runs to Norfolk, let alone, so that's, having those big plays and hit were great, but it's something we found with tape what they can do, and we took advantage of it. Defensively, the first quarter was one of the best defensive for how we talked coming into this week, how great that front's going to be. We're not going to be able to touch this quarterback. Well, we call bull crap on that. We were all over him. And it was just, again, and from our ends to the inside guys, everyone playing so hard, and it's just one of those things, but we got to sustain it. And you can go through the whole game, but once your quarterback, we had 2 ankles in a row go there. And that's just watching Sellers on the sideline and wanting to come back in the game. That was one of those things. It's like, man, I know Shane says that we got to make the right decision and all that stuff, but that dude wanted to battle. He wanted to be back in. I know he was a statue in the one play he came in, but he's still, I'm almost wanting to tape the thing up. I know it's early in the season, but
he said they taped it up. Now, whether you shoot him up or whatnot, but it did look like,
I don't even know
if they could.
I don't know if you can do that anymore.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, I know you can, but I don't know if you are supposed to do that anymore.
I don't know.
Back in the day, we just
cortisone shot.
If your legs sticking out, just put it back in place. Put that deal on. But it's just
get Ryan some more duct tape.
You had
duct tape fixes a lot of things.
It does fix a lot of things, but it's just I'm watching him pace and wanting to get back in the game, and I'm the whole time like, I want you back in the game. Let's go, and just to see, just keep this battle going on. But I think they thought they could run the ball, and they did. They thought that was one of those things. I understand the third quarter we had 6 plays, and that it wasn't great, but I still think they were trying to stick to, hey, we're going to break another one. Something's going to happen. We're break another one, and it just didn't work out that way. But just the battle throughout, and then getting a big play and coming back in. It was just, that game was so entertaining. I hate how it ended, obviously, but it was just, the whole day was awesome.
Yeah.
It was from 7 a.m., some of the students there at 2, 4, 3, in the morning to the end of the day was just unbelievable. The crowd was phenomenal.
You were taking all kinds of pictures with people.
I did. I partaked in a lot of stuff. Game day was there, and I got saw Coach Fitch, who was my he's at LSU. I got to go sideline see him. I was with Don for a second, but it was a really fun day. Just wish the outcome was at least that kick was a little bit over, and see what happened overtime.
Man,
you're one gust of wind away from sending it to overtime.
I think he just got under just a hair.
It
started floating and just fluttering right there. I was standing right there. I was like, no.
90% of the way, I was like, this is going. Oh no, it's not.
Yeah, like I said, I was right on the on the 20-yard line where the kick. And I was there. I was like, this. It looked perfect, and I saw his tail, and I was like,
yeah, just at the last, it just kind of tailed off.
But it was a great football game. Just had so many weird situations going on in it.
A few more thoughts from Ryan on that one. We'll start looking ahead to the Akron game and what to improve upon, not only for this week, but in the off week, too. Again, it's BREWSDAY, and it's Ryan's birthday. You're listening to the Postgame Show. So about our good friends at Palmetto Propane, the Palmetto Propane Hearth and Patio Home Store showrooms all across the I-20 corridor here in the Midlands and over into the Aiken, Augusta area. Those showrooms have premium brands of gas logs from brands like Real Fire and White Mountain Hearth. They've also got grills from Big Green Egg, Blaze, Tech, the ever-popular Traeger, a full range of products. Again, like gas logs, grills, also Rinnai tankless water heaters, plus features for outdoors. I mean, it is time to start thinking about having the folks outside, gas lanterns, generators, fire features, and fire pits. Again, stop in and see these things and get a feel for what they could look like in your house or in the backyard. Aiken, West Columbia, Batesburg, Lexington, and Augusta. That's where Palmetto Propane's Hearth and Patio Home Store showrooms are located. Since 1959, known for their expertise and experience of their trusted service technicians. Palmetto Propane, delivering propane to homes and businesses since 1959. PalmettoPropane.com. Talking Gamecock football. We're wishing Ryan Brewer a happy birthday on BREWSDAY here on the Postgame Show. Jay and Elijah with you. Ryan is in the house. We're recapping Saturday's 36-33 loss to LSU. Trying to, we've gotten through, for those of you just tuning in, we've gotten through the bulk of the negatives. We've gotten into some positives. And if you want to reset where you are with this, or you just want to talk about more positives, or maybe you want to talk about what you're going to do for your birthday.
Now, what I do want to talk about is ball security.
Okay.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Please. Bring back Fumble Island.
Do we realize the name of the game is football?
Yes.
All right, that's the most important part of the game. You got to protect the damn thing.
The ball.
You got to protect it.
Yeah.
All right. So not just this isn't just a South Carolina thing, even NFL thing. Why is all of a sudden no one runs with the ball on the outside arm anymore?
Yeah, Shane mentioned that.
And I heard him say that, but I'm like, I thought they weren't teaching it. I really thought, like, this is from all levels I'm watching, from high school up, even NFL. It's like, I thought they just forgot to say, hey, we're just going to keep it in our dominant arm from now on. Just going to stay in the right if you're a righty or whatever, your strong arm. But it's watching just the weekend, I saw so many instances where people are losing the ball because they're getting the helmet hit across. They don't have the other arm, the stiff arm to push off to get the extra yardage. And we had a lot of those this Saturday. Not alone, our quarterback's got to figure a way to tuck the ball when they get hit from the blind side, or not the front side actually, but just wait. That's a huge deal. We put the ball on the ground way too many times. We've been lucky; a couple of them bounced back in our laps. But we got to find a way to protect this football.
I mean, I'm only halfway kidding when I say something like bring back Fumble Island, and I even mentioned something to Elijah yesterday. Some form of training camp, boot camp, like this week, next week. Hey, boys, we got to work on us.
Well,
but what does that look like during the season?
But you do that all year. I mean, you do that you always work on us. That's why you watch film. That's why you watch you see every mistake. I say this all the time. The wrong step you made by an inch, they're going to talk to you about. They're going to tell you this is what you did wrong. This is why you got beat here. You held the ball like a loaf of bread. That's why you lost it. So it's at one time in your life, you got to realize I either want to do it or I don't. Mm-hmm. If you can't figure out why you're doing it wrong, you don't need to be on the field. Or you got to, that's so. It's to that point where these, they're grown men now. And there's no more freshmen. They've been through. They played in one game. They're not freshmen anymore. They played in multiple games. So it's time to figure out, what you can and can't do. And if you're a liability, hold on to the football. That's a big deal. And I agree. You can't be on the field.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, and they've gotten really, for the most part, like in the Kentucky game at least, lucky when it comes to recovering of the football. And we saw, it could bite you in the rear on Saturday. But one thing I wanted to ask you about too was because my kind of biggest takeaway from the LSU game was that if you can get pass rush against that offensive line, you will get pass rush against everybody that's on your schedule. And any team with an elite pass rush, I don't care what you have on offense, you're going to at least be in every single game you play. From what you've seen of the offense over the last 3 weeks, from what we saw at Old Dominion to that first drive on Saturday, and even, a couple of other drives later on in the first half before Lenoris got hurt, how much do you think that offense can be able to help you steal some games with the defense being that good and being able to pressure quite literally anybody or any quarterback that they play?
Yeah, I think we talked about last week coming in and saying how, with the defense and special teams, they're going to keep us in majority of games, if not all games. Now, the offense has to find a spark and do that. And I think we found some sparks. We found what we can do. Now we can't do stupid 13 penalties and have our quarterback get hurt before the half and things like that. Just can't happen to play with the big boys. But we're going to be in every game, I believe. If our defense, like you said, is able to get against a team that has 2 NFL caliber, like right now, tackles, and we made them, we exposed them. We didn't make them look pedestrian or anything like that, but we exposed them. I think, especially both our ends did coming at them. They showed
Gilbert Edmond did too. I mean, we talk about Kennard Stewart all the time. Edmond had himself a day in that first half
too. So, but it shows what we can do. And inside, they got some press and all that. It's just it has to keep sustainable. They got it, through 4 quarters. All of a sudden, they realize, hey, we can run some, inside, bounce the ball, and that's most of the time on our right side of the defense was getting exposed, pinching in too much, and not staying in the lanes. So there's a lot of that stuff they're going to see. All right, why were we were pinching in on the inside and they were bouncing. For a majority of their big runs came on our right side of the defense, their left offense. And we just got to find a way to stop that kind of stuff. And we're going to find that out because we have superior athletes right now on defense. And they got some ball players. And you can just see they're going to keep us in. Now, the offense got to keep getting better and better. And I think they will. And we keep saying that they're inching their way through. And I think this wasn't an inch. This was a huge step to show what we were able to do. It just died down once our quarterback got injured going into the second half.
What do you like from the past game so far in terms of relationships that Lenoris is building with receivers, A, B, with this week, and then an off week before Ole Miss? Do you look for the past game to maybe hone in on what they want it to look like moving forward? How long can it be a work in progress?
Everything's a work in progress. You're trying to get better every day. I mean, that's the thing. I think with the youth they have and the not being, even the transfers coming in, they haven't been around a lot. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see a little bit more click. It's getting, the timing's been better. He's hitting people in the chest on the fly and the run, able to make, we're not overthrowing it. The confidence, when you got a young guy starts getting confident, you see how athletic he is, and then you have some of these. You're starting to see the speed we have in these slot receivers too, and the guys that you start hitting them in stride. I think we got some playmakers. It's just it's going to be. I think we're a really big momentum team. If we start off slow, we're in trouble. That's why that first drive when it went, like you said, how awesome and smooth it went. I was like, this could be something special.
Yeah, and I think Josh Simon's going to start playing a bigger role in this too. I think they've found a couple of throws that Lenoris makes in rhythm, or at least he's able to hit guys in stride. And I think my favorite play was that first one where you start off and you end up hitting Simon on the check down. I mean, Simon, both of his catches were basically at the line of scrimmage, and he got 28 yards out of both of them. I mean, the guy can move the sticks. And I think that chemistry is working.
I hate that play.
I love it with Simon, though. I don't think you can do it with every tight end.
As a receiver, when you're facing the quarterback, but your back is still to all the defenders, not knowing when you're going to get hit, and it's not a screen. It's just it's a quick arrow route or out route, and you don't know when you're. And luckily, Simon's a monster, and his legs and his guys just bounced right off him.
He's a freak.
Because if it's anybody else coming hot, he's getting chopped up quick. So both times he got hit quick, and it broke those tackles and ended up getting 16 yards or whatever it was on two receptions.
Can't do that with every tight end.
No, you can't.
No, they're not all built like Josh Simon.
That's he got hit at the one line of scrimmage or 1 yard, both plays, and still end up getting. But that's normally it's a tackle for loss or a 1 yard gain max, and he broke those tackles not knowing the guy was even coming at him, which is more impressive. But he needs to put the ball on the outside arm when he comes across on the other side, and not keep putting in that right arm all the time.
We know he's already been a very high-level SEC player, but at South Carolina, it felt like Rocket Sanders this past weekend especially hit another level. What encourages you most about what you're seeing there?
The fact that Shane said he ran like 21,
I think, is what he topped out at. Yeah.
He's sneaky fast then, because it didn't look that. He doesn't, because he's so thick.
Yeah.
He doesn't, those guys don't look as fast as the long, lean guys. When, even when Nick was running, that's why I thought he was going to say that Nick was one of the top guys that topped out there, but he did not. He didn't look that fast, but no one was catching him. But he's breaking tackles. His vision is, I feel like he's a guy that's getting more and more confident. I feel he's getting stronger. And he's one, when you come from an injury like that, it's like, all right, you start realizing, hey, if I can carry the ball, what do you have, like 20-something carries a game before or something? And he's starting to get, the bulk, if not all the carries. And if you come in on Sunday and you're not all bruised up and you feel okay, that's a big deal.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're getting that many carries and you're on pass protection because he's getting they have confidence, the most confidence with him being on pass protection, and you are able to withstand that, and then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you still feel good enough that, hey, that's confidence, especially coming out of that injury, but let alone just, getting back in shape and all that. You can tell he's starting to feel it, but he's reading stuff, he's breaking tackles, and he's a load.
And then Shane telling us that all 320 whatever pounds of Kamar Bell can run 18 miles an hour.
That's called hauling.
Yeah.
I just like running that fast, that big, and then get hit by it. That sounds like fun.
Who was
sounds like the last moment of my life. I would die. Yeah.
Who was the fastest guy on y'all's team?
We had probably James Atkinson at the time.
Yeah, okay.
He was a track star, and then Jamie Price was a track guy too. So we had some track guys that could fly.
Derek was pretty.
Derek could move.
There you go. That's a 320 pounder going 18 miles an hour.
Steamrolling.
Yeah.
But not
I'm not sure we had any of those guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
I love my O-line. They're quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're running.
They were fast. Yeah. There's the difference in quick and fast. Yeah. I get you.
Normally, what's the point for an O-lineman to go 18 miles per hour?
Well,
I mean, even when you got to go, 5-10 yards max. If you're running screens, maybe get out there and get in front of them.
I think
after that, now you're just bragging. You're just out there running just to show, hey, look how fast I am.
Yeah,
if you're going 18 miles per hour, did he hit anybody in that 18 miles per hour?
I want to go back and find the play. I'm not even sure the play he's alluding to, but now I'm more curious than
ever. Was he just trying to chase Rocket down just to show that I'm catch up with him?
He just got in the open field and he was like, "This is my time. I know I'm being tracked. I'm going to haul right here."
And that's what? That's exactly what it is, because they're having these meetings and they're showing, because they're wearing those trackers. That's 100% what it is. I guarantee it was open field. He got into a sprinter stance and said, "Watch this," and just took off.
Somebody's got to. Good stuff. More with Brew coming up. 11 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. It's BREWSDAY on the Postgame Show. And a very happy birthday to Ryan Brewer at the same time. And that makes it even more fun to say that BREWSDAY, and even on your birthday, is brought to you by none other than Ryan Brewer and Ryan Brewer Fence.
Let me turn this thing on.
There you go.
First timer.
Yeah, you know, rookie mistake.
Yeah. We've been doing fence now for 20 years. At least, right?
God,
19 years. This is my 20th year.
How old are you? Don't answer that.
Yeah. It's my birthday. Just a day older than yesterday. That's all it is. But anything you need throughout the whole state, we can take care of you, honestly. So for residential commercial fencing, just go to ryanbrewer.net or look it on Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff. We have all our pictures of what we do. And so in your wall art, mailboxes, everything we can do for you fence-wise is out there. So we got a old custom shop and putting up a bunch of fence right now throughout the Midlands. We're in Chapin. We're in Greenville right now.
Nice.
I think
What if I
we're in
wanted
Charleston right now?
What if I wanted big wall art of a cutout of South Carolina head football coach Shane Beamer? Could I do that?
We can figure it out.
As
I don't know
we
if you- yeah.
We have a special guest on the line. Can you imagine seeing yourself, Coach, in a nice wall art mural type thing from Ryan Brewer?
I can't, but if anybody could get that done, it would be Ryan Brewer. I've got stuff of his hanging in my office. It's one of my favorite things that I have in my office, and I wouldn't wish that on anyone, though, on my wife or anyone else. But if somebody did, have at it. Brews the guy to get it done. But happy birthday, brother, and hope it's a hope it's a great one for you, my man.
It's been great, and I appreciate you calling. I just have one. If you can give me one gift. Can you do this for me?
Yep. I can try.
Can you get me the video of the calls, the penalties that you asked for, just for my eyes only?
That's like the Zapruder film from back in the JFK assassination. Yeah. It's like out there and can be dissected by a lot of people.
Yeah, I will not release it to anybody else. I promise you that. So that's the only gift I'm asking for.
Tell you what, you can come over to the facility one day. We'll sit down and we'll go through it play by play if you got some time.
I'm on the way right now.
Don't you know, Shane? He'll be there. I'm
sure.
He was going to throw me through the window. He thought I was on the ref side. He was going to throw me through the window, but luckily I'm still in one piece.
You got it, man.
Well, hey, Coach, appreciate you calling in. We know you got a lot to go do, but it's a big one for this guy. So we always appreciate him and you.
Well. He is Mr. Gamecock through and through, and grateful for his support and what he means to Gamecock football as well. So appreciate you, and happy birthday, bud.
Thanks a bunch, Coach. That means a lot.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it, my man. Take care. Go Gamecocks.
Good stuff.
Yes,
there you go. Look at that.
Man, I feel like a celebrity all of a sudden.
Well, don't go too far.
But I'm actually I really appreciate him calling, but I'm going to the facility right now.
Well, if you do, will you do me a favor? Let me know what you get.
We won't tell anybody, we promise.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I won't say a word.
Yeah, we need to turn these mics off.
Yeah, we'll be all right. All right, Akron's coming in.
Akron's coming in, the Zips.
Big favorite. Yeah, work on you, but don't take anything.
Hey, it's just like the first game, though. You never know.
Right.
They throw some really crazy stuff out there offensively. I think our defense will still be fine, but they throw some crazy stuff out there. The MAC is known for being fearless when it comes to these big games. Like they have nothing to lose.
Well, you grew up in Ohio and MAC country, man.
Yeah, these guys are mostly guys that thought they should be playing Big Ten football, and they're coming to prove a point. That's what they're. They're not here. They're not getting paid.
Right.
You know, they're Akron might.
Yeah.
They're not getting paid. They're here to come play. You know, they're not seeing South Carolina's helmet roll on the field and getting all scared. That's just not. They're not going to Williams-Brice and thinking. You know, I hope it's the same atmosphere as game.
Well, they've already seen Ohio State and Rutgers, right?
Yep.
So they've
seen it.
Yeah.
They've seen it, but
Ohio State was only up 17-3, pretty well into the third quarter.
And it's one of those you just got to go in hot. That's the thing. A lot of teams like Ohio State, I'm sure, and just you think you're playing a inferior team, and you're not. Like they have the difference normally in these MAC school teams are their second string players. We're rolling out guys that are very comparable first, second string guys. They're not. So you got to go in there. They're going to give you everything they have the first quarter, second quarter, and you got to come in hot. And then, but it is a game that you're hoping you know, no matter what Sellers is, you're hoping these guys, you get other guys get in here, get some snaps, and get some repetition and get better. All going on this off week and getting really ready for Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, clean up those, at least the ones that are the self-inflicted ones. Again, the others.
Yes. But they're doing that now in practice.
Yeah,
Just go out there and dominate.
I'll let you take care of the rest of it.
Yes, sir.
All right, happy birthday, man.
Thank you, guys. That was a good one.
Happy birthday.
Have fun tonight. Best of the family.
Yeah.
We'll do it again next week.
Do it again.
All right, that's Ryan Brewer. Ryan21 Brewer on Twitter, ryanbrewer.net. Hour 2 coming up. You've been in your house for a while. Love it. Love the neighborhood, but it's time for a change. Got some equity built up. Well, it's time to call Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. Take advantage of their fantastic rates on home equity lines of credit. You can access this over a 10-year draw. Maybe you need a new fence. You can get that done, right? Or a pool, or you just want to fix up the kitchen. Get the kids another bathroom because they're always fighting over the shower, or who gets to brush their teeth. Whatever it might be, Palmetto Citizens is ready to help you out, and their home equity lines offer great low rates. You'll pay lower closing costs and application fees than you will with the big banks. They've been doing it since the 1930s, y'all. They know what's up. 14 locations all across town for any of your banking needs, too, not just a home equity line. Checking, savings, car loans, credit cards, mortgages, you name it, they can get it done for you. Palmetto Citizens, my wife and I are members. We love them. We think you will, too. Check them out online right now, palmettocitizens.org. 4 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back in. Second hour of the Postgame Show coming at you from the Herndon Chevy Studios in downtown Columbia, South Carolina. Jay Phillips and Elijah Campbell with you. And again, a happy birthday to our good friend Ryan Brewer. Thanks to Coach Eric Kimry and Coach Shane Beamer for calling in and wishing Brew a happy birthday.
Very kind of them.
Yeah.
Friends of the show.
He's, I could probably say he probably doesn't care, but I don't know if you're supposed to tell people how old people are, unless they do it themselves, right?
Yeah, Brewer doesn't seem like he'd care, though.
Probably not. He's in his 40s. Old.
To let you fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
We let you guess the year.
Well, y'all know about when he was in college, so there you go.
You could piece it together that way pretty easily.
Yeah.
So really, it's no secret.
No.
You can ballpark it pretty easily.
Do appreciate Coach's time. Ryan, for those of you who missed it, Tyler. I'm looking at Tyler and Elijah on the text right here. It says Tyler and Elijah right there.
Yeah.
Elijah
Yep.
will have... Stop. Elijah, I already feel bad about it now. I'll make it worse. Elijah...
It's cool. We haven't done this for a year or anything.
He said, in English, will have the full hour up. But
it's already up.
Okay, good. Look at that. Ryan, in the opening segment, not thrilled with some of the officiating calls on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah. But he kept it PG, which was good.
I was worried that I might have to break out the dump button.
I mean,
I was kind of staring at it.
That was very dump buttonable, at least in terms of like the kindling that had, and the little spark of fire.
As someone who has had to use the dump button in the past at previous locations, I do know what kind of leads up into having to use the dump button.
Yep.
And I will say, the only times I've ever had to use the dump button were on current or former football players.
Makes sense.
Twice ever.
Which he qualifies as.
He would be the third.
But he didn't go that far, but not happy. And he was not happy with me, although I think he mischaracterized what I said yesterday.
Maybe.
I never took the side of the refs. Did I?
No.
No. I was like, it was a picky call. Talking about the second one, the 100-yarder that was negated.
I think trying to explain why the call was made is always misinterpreted as you think that was
yeah. And
which is incorrect. That is not.
But Ryan also, I thought, assessed Nussmeier's acting chops.
Yeah, saying he flopped. There's probably a little theatrics in there, but Kyle Kennard's a big man. He can barely put a finger on me, and I will fall.
Yeah. So anyway,
big fella,
but also a lot of the positives, and just you got to go get better. You got to go get better. That's all you can really do at this point.
And they can.
They can.
No, dude, I don't know why. I feel crazy going out of that game being like, yeah, this team has gotten a lot better from week one to now, and knowing that your defensive line did that to LSU's offensive line for at least a half of football. I think they kind of got worn down after that third quarter when you had to play, 25 of the 31 snaps that were there. But I think the best takeaway you can have from that game is that defense will keep you in every single game you play, regardless of who they're lining up against. And if offensively you can tap into what you tapped into in those first two quarters of the game, you're going to steal some that you didn't think at the beginning of the year you had a chance of winning. Like, you are going to surprise yourself with how good the team can be if they're able to just bottle up those first two quarters of offense. Shoot, if Lenoris never got hurt, I think you win that game because of just how well things were starting to click a little bit, how well you could tell for Lenoris it was clicking, how well you were able to face a defense that was suspect in run defense and straight up took advantage of it. I mean, you're almost at 8 yards a carry in non-sack draws or runs, because obviously in college football they count your sack yardages as rush yard losses, so that stat can be skewed, but take that out, then you're picking up like 8 yards a pop. That's going to win you a lot of games in the NFL. And LSU's not the 85 Bears by any means, but if you're able to pick up chunks against them, you're going to do pretty well in a lot of these games and be in a lot of them, whether you're home, road, whatever, and you're really going to surprise yourself.
We are going to get into plenty of football from Coach Beamer, but on the new list we just got, Elijah, cut number 7, please. I kind of want to get this. When I say I get it out of the way, it's not because I don't think it's important. And let me preface it by saying this is about the officiating that I referenced Chris Clark's piece at Gamecock Central today, and Chris echoed some things that I've been saying for years when it comes to not having like officials do a press conference after games the same way coaches and players do, and that level of public accountability. But I have for years been calling for something along the lines of what Chris was saying, which is basically like a pool report. Get somebody to go, or at least, give all of us some level of insight into the why. Listen, a lot of it, again, is very subjective. And it doesn't necessarily mean that in any given game, I'm talking across the board, all right? NFL, NBA, baseball, SEC, some level of insight, because very rarely, only on the most controversial calls, do we have a pool reporter get access, right? And it really, that's typically just NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and I suppose maybe the NHL too. I don't follow hockey as closely as you do, so I don't
really
know how.
Only controversial.
Yeah,
moments is when that is brought out.
Like, we just don't get it in college. And again, Chris references a game I referenced yesterday, the 2019 Florida game here, which just had 2 egregious officiating mistakes. Just, again, so bad that 3 days later, Greg Sankey came out and said, I'm paraphrasing here, but he basically said, I promise you, fans, we do hold our officials accountable. Now, that was about all he said. Didn't say how, didn't say when, didn't say, what, but just, we do. Because it really was awful. It really, really, really was. One of them especially was like, seriously, there's 9 of you out there, however many? Seriously? None of you saw that? Dude holding for 40 yards and you get nothing? Nothing? Seriously? So, anyway, here's Shane asked today. This was a follow-up, by the way, so I think maybe the joke is in here too. He did mention one thing about getting some film back. Then he was asked, like, well, okay, on that note, and here's where it was.
It doesn't matter kind of what I said or what I think. The voiceover comes back from John McDade. He's the head of officials who was a referee in this league and was a referee way back in the Big East days when my dad was coaching, and someone that I've got great respect for. And if I pick up the phone and call him, he'll answer the phone year round, so I've got a great relationship with him. And Jason, the head referee in that game Saturday, I've got great respect for him. He's very professional and great to deal with on game days. That's a lot of the times when we don't send in plays after a game, it's honestly thinking that, like, what's the point? I know they missed it, so why do I need to send it in as well? So we don't send in a lot of plays. We did this week because, frankly, there were a lot that I wanted some clarification on that I disagreed with or wasn't sure what they were calling or why this was a penalty. And some of them from Saturday were ones where we got flagged for this, but if we had done this, would we have still been flagged? Stuff like that, things that I'd had questions about. So there were some certainly that I maybe didn't like what he said, but I get it. There were some that I absolutely was on board with his response, and then there were a couple that, frankly, we can agree to disagree on some of them as well. But all good. I appreciate their responses and know that officials have a tough job. And there's a lot of plays in that game, and I'm sure LSU was upset with a lot of the things that maybe weren't called on their end. Who knows? But in the end, it's just like I told our team, officiating didn't decide the game. And were there some impactful plays? Absolutely. Absolutely. And more than in one game than I can remember. But at the same time, if we just do what we're supposed to do and not even put it in officials' hands, it's a whole different story.
So there you go. Not meant for anybody to feel better about it, but simply to understand, and he said at the top of that answer, what are you going to do 2-3 days later? Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, too. When it comes to, like, holding officials accountable, what do you want to do, suspend them? And then bring other officials who've never done SEC games only for them to make more mistakes, too? Like, it's just going to be an endless cycle, you know? And you do fine them, then no one's going to want to do the job.
Right.
Because you're going to miss things, and you're not missing them on purpose, right? The same way Steph Curry doesn't miss 5 3-pointers on purpose.
Right.
He's paid to make those threes, but sometimes he's not, he's not a 100% shooter. Sometimes you miss. Sometimes you just miss, or you misinterpret a
Saquon
rule.
last night.
Saquon, oh my God. I mean, he could have put that game on ice, and that ball bounced right off his mittens.
All you got to do is hold on to the ball.
All you got to do.
Just
All you got to
right
do.
there.
You know, but like that's the thing too. You're not like that's not going to really solve the problem. I think the best thing, and I agree with Chris's take, is that either a pull report or and what Ryan alluded to earlier, the tape that Shane got should be publicly available.
Yeah.
Because those are like informational too.
Yeah.
So now if everybody knows why this was called, then as a coach who isn't just a coach, you're a teacher teaching, your players, say, hey, this is what we got flagged on last time. This is what this video said they looked for. Then let's try something else, a different technique on that, or something else, a hand placement for the Kyle Kennard play, or for the horse collar thing. If you can just try to get below the nameplate or something like that. The educational value to having the full length description and detail as to why something was called helps you in the future. And even if you don't agree with it, I mean, it's informational, right? If you think the rule is applied in a really stupid way, this might help you from being victim of that rule being applied in a really stupid way going forward. And I think that helps everybody involved, media, fans, coaches, players. Like that being publicly available would do wonders. I think when I was talking to Terry earlier today on the halftime show after the press conference, and I just talked about how, the presentation we got in Dallas with John McDade, who's the head of officiating, when they went through a lot of the things they're looking at for emphasis this year, like defenses, mocking offensive signals, how they're looking for that, who can yell on the defense to shift things around, like a bunch of different things that they were looking at, what goes into a video replay. That was really informational, and I think it'd be very informational and beneficial for everybody involved if the things that like Shane got from Saturday's game get to be publicly accessible. And then that way everybody can be on the same page. It's not just kind of kept in the dark because plays like that are going to happen again. We would like to see the consistency in how it is explained each and every time. And that way, when officials make mistakes too, no matter how bad, publicly they can be held a lot more accountable because it's their boss saying why they did something, why they didn't do something. And then you can go, side by side with one explanation of a similar play one week to another week. And while it might not fix your problem, it definitely shines a larger light when it comes to accountability of it.
And I wonder too if it doesn't indirectly at some point too maybe sharpen the focus of the officials on the field. Look, you don't want them to be scared to make calls. And you remember, go back to the early days of targeting, when they said, hey, we need him to throw that flag. And so even if the targeting call is taken away, it's still going to be a personal foul. And the reason they did that, again, it was not a good rule, and they ultimately changed it. But I did understand the intent there. And I know that's sort of apples to oranges, but the point I'm making is they didn't want him to be scared to throw it. And so they said, okay, if you're going to throw it, and I think for a couple of seasons, it was still a 15-yarder, even if it wasn't target. Yeah, just the kid wasn't ejected. Exactly. The same kind of things here. I don't want officials to be scared. And you make a great point. If you suspend officials, be they great, mid, whatever,
you got to replace them.
You've still got to replace them, and you're coming from the bottom up to do that. You don't get to go say, hey, NFL, that Bengals-Browns game, we need that crew in the SEC this weekend.
Don't work that way.
Yeah, so there's some things to think about there. And they're trying this in England, by the way, they have like a weekly show in England for the Premier League where they go over the bad calls with a former ref. Now, it's not quite the same, but at least it is a public forum. Something like that could, I think, be beneficial. Got some breaking NFL news to get to and an interesting story coming out of Knoxville about how they're going to pay people. We'll explain when the postgame show returns. We're fully into football season now, y'all. Have you called Integrated Media yet to get that home theater taken care of? The one that you've been dreaming about? Maybe you've seen something cool at a friend's house or your brother-in-law's house or even setups at sports bars. And you're like, can I do that at home? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. And you need to call Integrated Media to make it happen because they are the best. 803-948-8327. With just one call, they can get the latest in 4K technology from Samsung, from Sony, amazing Dolby Atmos surround throughout the entire house. If that's what you're looking for, Sonos wireless speakers, pick up and move them where you want to. You can even go outdoors. The Samsung Terrace TVs made to be outside. So are the Sonos outdoor speaker systems. They look and sound like anything inside does, y'all. Trust me on this. One room, whole house, outdoors, Wi-Fi that works everywhere. 803-948-8327. Feel like you're there with Integrated Media. Welcome back into the Postgame Show on this Tuesday. Jay and Elijah with you. Breaking news out of the National Football League. First being reported by Adam Schefter, it would appear the Miami Dolphins have indeed placed Tua Tagovailoa on injured reserve after suffering yet another concussion. That's at least, 3 official concussions?
In the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
He will, when you go on IR, you miss a minimum of 4 games. So he is out for the better part of a month. A lot of folks last week urging him to retire. Even really his head coach, I think, basically saying, in so many words, might really need to think hard on this one.
I think putting him on IR might be them trying to save him from himself and make him think about it a little bit.
And it's unfortunate. And look, I'm lucky I've never suffered a concussion. I know a couple of my buddies that have, and we talked to Langston about it, Ryan. A lot of football players that do this, especially guys like that clacked heads all the time. And from everything I've understood and talking to folks like that, once you've had one, you are that much more susceptible. And then there's guys like Steve Young who, he thinks he might have had like 7 of them. Oof. Or something. I don't know. I mean, it's just like, how many did you? Well, they diagnosed me with whatever, but he goes back and talks about all the hits that he took, and back in a different era. It's unfortunate because Tua was finally coming around to how special and gifted a quarterback he is in terms of what he's able to do. So I don't know. And if you're the Dolphins, what kind of conversations do you have if he says he wants to come back? Like, how do you let him? You don't just cut him.
No.
I mean, there's a business side to this, and he just signed a new deal. And then there's the personal side of this, and there's the blending of the two. So those really are kind of, I know it's 2 or 3 things, right?
A lot at work.
Yeah.
It's taken into account.
So, and look, if in the next couple of weeks you can go see multiple specialists, maybe you wear the bigger helmet. Right, with the additional padding,
with the skull cap,
yeah,
and that even then that's a risk because we don't have enough data to know if that really works.
I mean, it's
we
still
have limited data that does, but
nothing eliminates the risk.
And I think what another one could be pretty detrimental, and I think that's just the one thing to weigh out too, which is really unfortunate.
Right?
He has to really think about. Him and his family really have to think about what's best for him moving forward because it is very unfortunate, like the long-term effects of CTE and that repeated head trauma. And if you've had 3 diagnosed ones, that's tough. And like what that does to humans, especially when they get into older years where life is supposed to be, a little easier when when you reach retirement, right? Like those are supposed to be great years and they're not. Those are stolen from you because of that degenerative brain disease and that I don't know. For him, I really hope he takes enough time to really consider what his future is going to be because by all accounts he seems like a really good person, like a really good dude, and it's already very unfortunate what's happened to him in terms of like the health of his brain, and is it really worth it to go out there and play? I think that's a legitimate question he's going to have to think. I don't want to one way or another say, hey, you should retire, you should not. You just have to be 1,000% sure of what you're going to do before you step out in that football field because the chances of you getting another one aren't just non-zero. They're higher than they've ever been.
And at his age, let's say he were to come back, because what is he, 27?
Yeah, I mean, he's younger than me.
I mean, I'll find out for sure here real quick. But you're gonna get popped again. Now, do you get another concussion? Hopefully not, maybe not. But you're gonna get popped. You play football.
Yeah, I mean that, and the National Football League with the biggest and strongest and fastest football players on the planet. And a lot of them are coming after you to pop you. Like that. That is their mission every single play you go out there. Yeah,
Tua's 26.
26.
And his birthday is March, so he just turned 26 this past spring.
Wow.
So I don't know, man. But again,
it's heartbreaking. It is such a heartbreaking situation.
Tua is on the IR so he is out for at least the next 4 games.
It's 4 weeks to think about it.
And the Dolphins in those next 4 weeks play, let's see, they're 1-1. They will play at Seattle, home with the Titans, at the Patriots, at the Colts. So, again, he could, at minimum, return at home versus the Cardinals on October 27. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either. Nope.
All right, keep you updated on that particular story. It really is. It's heartbreaking. That's just tough to see. So feel for that guy. All right, I'll tell you what. Let me hit a break. Couple of SEC schools with some pretty big money news today, but one of them especially is probably going to alter the way everybody does business, or at least they've reset the bar. And I'll explain when the postgame show returns.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few accidents to get to, they're causing some issues on the roadways. 3 accidents to report. All of those are in Richland County. Starting with one on I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard near exit 71. Got another one on I-77 northbound at US 21 near exit 24. And another accident on St. Andrews Road at US 176 at Broad River Road. And we also have an object on the roadway in Lexington County on Kittiwake Drive at US 1 at Augusta Road. That object is causing a minor traffic backup.
Been talking a lot of Gamecock football today. Our good friend Ryan Brewer was here for BREWSDAY, which we do every Tuesday during football season. Also Ryan's birthday, so y'all be sure to hit him up on Twitter with a happy birthday message, Ryan21 Brewer, to do that. Again, just gave you the news that Tua Tagovailoa has been placed on IR. He is there for at least 4 games. Could return the final weekend of October, but with a 3rd diagnosed concussion, have we seen the last of Tua? Dan Orlovsky's already tweeted out he's got a month now to make a responsible decision, Dan says.
Yeah, it's a lot. This is a very difficult decision. Yeah. And arguably, without knowing much about Tua Tagovailoa's life, this could be, the most impactful and important.
And again, is only 26 years old. So here's hoping, man. Here's hoping. All right, so let me get into this. The University of Tennessee today announced that it will increase football ticket prices and the accompanying donations by an average of 14.5% next year, with most of that increase going to what UT is calling a talent fee. So now you have a seat fee, and sometimes you'll see a franchise fee and all kinds of things on your ticket. A talent fee. Danny White, the AD, sent a video to Vols fans explaining some of this in the video. And what he's also told the Knoxville News Sentinel is, quote, "We've come a long way in the last few years. In this new era, it's going to get a lot more expensive. But there's also going to be a closer relationship between resources and competition than there ever has been before. And our biggest asset is our fan base." Now, all single game tickets will have a 10% increase per seat for the talent fee. Tennessee expects that to raise roughly 1/3 of what they will use to pay athletes. Remember, right now, it's about 20% of your budget. They're going to try to put a cap on this, too, which it's dicey. It's dicey. But right now, for SEC schools, as an example, that number is going to be around $22 million that you can use to pay athletes. Some may have a little bit more. Season ticket renewals start this week up in Knoxville. They've already doubled student ticket prices going into next season. Everybody's going to get on board with this in terms of paying players. How they raise revenues will be interesting. And you and I were talking off air, Elijah, about this, and there will be fans that grumble. There is no question, not just Tennessee fans. But he mentions in this piece that it'll be about $30 million more that the University of Tennessee needs to fund the revenue sharing with players and to fund the new scholarships. Because remember, they're taking away now you can have 85 scholarship football players. That's about to go up. Now you can have 11.7 in baseball. Starting next school year, that goes up to 35, right? I think, or 33, something like that. Mm-hmm. But it goes up more than nearly triple. It nearly triples. That's expensive. And remember, I know some people think that, if a kid's on full scholarship, the school just lets them in. That isn't how it works. It means that the young man or young woman is not paying to go to school, but someone pays for it. And when you're on athletic scholarship, the athletic department pays for your scholarship. They pay for your tuition. The school just doesn't go, oh, sure, come on in. This isn't a free sample at Chick-fil-A, which are great, by the way. I love when they do that.
It's overrated. Chick-fil-A, not free samples.
No, well, anyway, we'll come back around to that.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah, but no, it's going to cost this costs lots of money. Even if everybody is deemed in state for the purposes of athletic scholarships or whatever it's going to be, it still costs money. So again, they're doing this. The Tennessee Fund last year raised $139.7 million. It was their biggest year ever. And Danny White says they're not trying to offload this on their fans. He says they're really not. He says we have a waiting list of 15,000. If we were about cold-hearted business, we would probably be a lot more aggressive with our price points. But this is college athletics, and we have a really passionate fan base. We don't take these decisions lightly. We work hard to try to thread the needle between generating the revenue we need, but also being fair and reasonable. I'm giving you some of these details because this is going to trickle down throughout the SEC, I would think, rather quickly. How does it work? Do schools wait another year? Do some schools copy Tennessee right now? Is there a way to do a little bit along and along? Yeah, I don't have the answers to those questions. And I know there will be some fan bases that may look at what the team is doing and say, I'm not paying more for that product. At Tennessee these days, you can now look and go, the hiring of Danny White, who then hired Josh Heupel, is working. And this Spire collective that we have for NIL is bringing in more talent. Tennessee now has, one of the better freshman quarterbacks in the country. James Pierce is being talked about as a potential first pick in the NFL draft. He certainly, I think, will be top 5 because the Panthers are probably going to pick first and take another quarterback.
He'll be the first edge rusher off the board.
But I was going to say, the first defender, whoever gets to pick 2 goes, well, sure, we'll take a guy to go hit quarterbacks. Why not? So Tennessee's done it now. The next thing is who follows and exactly how do they follow? Do they march in lockstep? Do more schools get together to try and make this not a conference initiative, Elijah, but one where, well, hey, this is what we, the members of the Southeastern Conference, must do in order to not just maintain our relevance, but to grow our strength over the next decade plus.
It almost kind of feels lazy to me because there's other ways you can raise money for certain events to be able to get what you need for additional players. Because like you mentioned, Tennessee's already doing incredible in the NIL space. They're doing incredible as an athletic department and making money. It's already really difficult to get college football tickets at an SEC school. It's already incredibly expensive. And I think pricing out a lot of your fans is just a bad business decision in general. And it's a decision that a lot of pro sport franchises have made, and it's bitten them in the rear because the atmosphere of their games are not the same.
David Tepper.
I used to work for an organization who has priced out a lot of the fans. That would be the Nashville Predators. And you know what? They're still fun games, still fun products, but I got to sacrifice an arm or a leg. I got to choose one of the two to give to Lord Nash and be able to go in and watch a regular season game against the Arizona Coyotes, right? It's not the same. The atmosphere is not the same. The playoff atmosphere is not the same because it is so expensive to get tickets. And people that have been going for years and years and years ultimately get priced out. You don't want that in college athletics. I think one thing that separates college athletics is the crowd atmosphere for every game.
Sure.
Right? The crowd at Williams-Brice for every game I've been to. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I've been to so many NFL stadiums for NFL games that are lifeless, juiceless, and almost feel like business meetings, especially, if it's for a team that's not very good, right? It could really take away part of the product. I just don't want to see that happening. There's other ways you can fundraise. There are very talented people in the fundraising business and space, very talented people with very bright ideas who are able to bring in a whole lot more money, like putting a logo on the field. That won't take away from the environment. Or putting, getting naming rights for a stadium. That won't take away from the product on the field.
By the way, who was first in the league doing that?
That was Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Because they're really good at that.
Yeah.
I don't think they have to resort to this. I understand wanting to go above and beyond and now getting to the point where you're greedy, where you're seeing you can get a leg up on other schools with similar resources. I understand that. But I think I would, crowdsource the tickets or crowdsource, bankrolling your teams in your athletic department from the fans by increasing already very high ticket prices. Ticket prices are so high right now, and I think making them 10% more expensive just isn't the best way to do this. I love the idea of raising more money. I don't like this being your big project to do so.
Again, Tennessee's ticket renewals begin officially on Thursday, so 2 days from now. So they're announcing this to give people a little bit of time to absorb the shock. And your highest dollar donors will certainly be ready to re-up. And I think your mid-level donors and longtime season ticket holders will understand, because Tennessee is putting itself back into position to be a national contender, especially in an expanded playoff era. They may not be ready to win the Southeastern Conference yet. They might be. I don't know.
This team,
they're playing pretty good, man.
Through 3 games, they have not given up a defensive touchdown.
I mean, we learned a lot more this weekend when they play Oklahoma. Now it's time to play a big boy.
In a true road game.
Yeah. I mean, NC State, I thought Tennessee would win that game by 3 touchdowns. They ended up winning it by, 5
6 touchdowns?
6 touchdowns, whatever it was. I figured it would be a lot, and it was. But regardless, how the initial reaction goes, I think will be very telling. And I don't have dates for other schools and when they start sending out renewal notices and things like that. And this isn't here, I'm not here to, just sit here and pat Danny White on the back and go, hey, nice job, bud. But what I am saying is what's based on fact. It's working up there. And some schools, Georgia, Alabama, the 2 Texas schools, Oklahoma, they won't have any concerns. LSU, there won't be any concerns. Everybody else, be curious to see what it looks like.
We got to get creative. That's the thing. Now is the point. Now is the part, of
like, how does Florida go raise money? Florida's got a big fan base. Big alumni base, but right now they stink.
And they've dropped the bag or the ball, because they haven't dropped enough bags to be able to get players. I got my thoughts a little twisted there, but they haven't done a good enough job in the NIL space. They've actually been notoriously bad because of how bad they fumbled a couple of incidences that have led to putting them and their NIL collective in a really bad spotlight. They've got to get creative if they want to get back to what even a smidge of what they were in the past. They've got to go back. They've got to get back to the drawing board and say, we got to be able to fundraise a whole lot better. Now college athletics is a fundraising arms race, and you've got to be an active participant. I just don't love the idea of putting that burden on fans that are already paying tickets to go to the events. They're already paying part of that. Asking them to pay more, especially since a lot of loyal ones who've been going to games for years might not be able to, and pricing them out would be a very unfortunate element of college athletics.
And that, again, is that what's going to happen? Like I say, it'll be interesting to see. Now, this, I think they start their renewals on Thursday, but it runs, I saw the date, Elijah, and you may know, but it runs even, long. I mean, it goes for months. And again, Tennessee now has the College World Series champion. They want to get their women's basketball program back to competing with Dawn and Kim and what it used to be. And that's going to take money, and they know that. Lots more to do on the postgame show coming up. 11 minutes in front of 5 o'clock on this Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay and Elijah with you. Keith wants to weigh in on a lot of what we're doing today, and we will get a lot more Shane Beamer sound for you coming up next hour. But Keith is up next. Hey, bud, how are you?
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Hello.
Hey, Keith, we got
Keith,
you. What's up, bud?
Hey, bud. I thought I lost y'all.
Nope, there we got you.
All right, good. Just a couple of comments. You can't dispute the fact of what Heupel's done the last few years and proven that program. And look, I'm old school. I'm not a fan of the way things have gone, but it's just a reality. And, you know, just like everybody else, I have a choice to go or turn the TV on or not. But I've been to Tennessee several times, and I'm telling you, it's a beautiful setting outside the stadium, but that place is a dump. You got about 12 inches to sit, and let's just move this close to home as far as our facilities. We do all these things to enhance the experience, a lot of building going around the stadium, but at the end of the day, it's been the same problem for the fan experience. If you bring your wife or daughter and the second half they have to go to the ladies' room, you'll be getting back to your seats by the fourth quarter. They need to address some things that are relevant to the people that are there spending their good money instead of putting a lipstick on it. You know, that's just where I'm at.
I think that's a good point. Thanks, Keith, as always. You know, one of the things that we have heard here locally, and I know this is a theme around the conference and certainly the country, and I'm not going to really bring in the NFL experience because those stadiums are very different, is the fan experience at a game. And, you know, I mean, yeah, I can think of look, guys and girls, and I know it's different, and I don't want to go too far down that particular avenue, but, I can remember when I was a kid, and, you know, they had like an equal number of, just to use the bathrooms as an example. I grew up sitting on the West Lower, and remembering, like, you know, the ladies, like, just a line out the door, you know, and again, everybody can kind of visualize all of the whys and whatnot. And I think they've now done, you know, a better job of more of that, you know, as one example. And he mentions, you know, the lipstick, you know, yeah, you can't just slap a coat of paint somewhere and go, oh, no, we enhanced the stadium, you know. And Williams-Brice, listen, there's still some things to do, you know, Lower East and the student section and things like that. You know, it's getting better. You know, Lower East is getting better, but there was a time there when it was kind of gross, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, just gross. Seriously.
Well, when a stadium exists for a while, you're going to have a lot of that, you know, in certain spots.
You know, but they've got new club levels and you know, for people that can afford those things and do that kind of enhancement. You know, the light show, if you will, for lack of a better way to put it, is really cool. And you can only get that when you're there. You cannot get that on television. And other stadiums are doing the same kind of thing around the conference. So again, I'm trying to stick to college because, you know, we could all sit here and go, have you been to the stadium in Atlanta? But that's not fair.
Apples to oranges.
Yeah, I mean, because the only you know, like the new SoFi, it can go like hold my beer. Even Jerry World maybe, but
I've been told by so many people who've been to SoFi that it is just like you're on a spaceship.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it also costs $2 billion.
Yes,
you know, so,
also very expensive.
Yeah,
to get in there.
So there's that. But, you know, I think, Keith, it's a real struggle. And to Elijah's point, there are a lot of folks in this part of the world that love their team, love their school. Many of them might not have even gone to the school. Most did, but some don't. And they really do. You know, I've heard from some of you like, hey, you know, and I know there's downsides. Like, for instance, this weekend. Now, this is different because it's a MAC school. But if this was a AA game, an FCS game, you know, I'd be more critical of scheduling it. But I've also heard from a lot of you through my career, Jay, I get what you're saying, man. But that's the only game my family can afford to go to. And I hear you. And that's a tough decision. It's tough for me to say things like that. It's certainly going to be tough for administrators to make those kinds of decisions. But at the same time, we're in this world now, and there is no turning back, not without something that is collectively bargained. Players, students are going to be paid now. They're going to be paid by their school, and they're still going to have NIL opportunity, and the money has to come from somewhere. That's why I'm saying, get that, for Carolina specifically right now, field sponsor, get it done. Helmet stickers, get it done. Shoulder patch, get it done.
Revenue streams that aren't relying on your fans, get it done.
Get it done. Hour 3 coming up.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. The few reports to get to you of some accidents that are causing some issues on the roadways. We're going to start in Richland County. Got accidents reported on South Carolina 277 northbound at I-20, one on Shop Road at South Beltline Boulevard, another one on St. Andrews Road over at US 176 near Broad River Road, one on 77 northbound at US 21, one on 20 west at Wilson Boulevard near exit 71, one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road at Brickyard Road, another one on Clemson Road at Rame Road and North Springs. Got another on Bull Street near Jefferson Street, And lastly, one on Assembly Street near Calhoun Street. That's all in Richland County. In Lexington County, we have only one reported so far. That's on Platte Springs Road at South Lake Drive.
It is 5 o'clock news time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the Postgame Show. It's also Ryan Brewer's birthday, even though Brew has already left for his regular weekly BREWSDAY visit.
Most importantly,
that's right,
is Ryan Brewer's
another
birthday.
happy birthday. We appreciate, if you missed it, you can find it online or on the app, 1075thegame.com or the app. But Coach Eric Kimry, our good friend, former Gamecock, teammate of Ryan's, and Coach Shane Beamer called in to wish Ryan a happy birthday.
That's a lovely surprise.
We appreciate that. He didn't know it was coming. He asked me later. He's like, "You set that up?" I was like, "No, man. They just love you.
They love you enough. They were just going to call in anyway." I answered the phone. I'm like, "Yeah, 1075 the game." And hey, it's Coach Beamer. And I'm like,
It's Shane
"No,
from
it's not."
Columbia.
Yeah, no, it's not. Hang up the phone.
It's Eric. Yeah, he hung up on him. Eric.
No, don't think so. Nice try, buddy.
Eric from Chattanooga. Good stuff. But we appreciate them. And again, a very happy birthday to our good friend Ryan Brewer. Speaking of Shane Beamer, he has spoken today ahead of the South Carolina-Akron game. We earlier did hear from Shane on the explanations that he got, which he cannot make public. I want everybody to know that, from the SEC on the questionable officiating calls. And he said some he gets, some he understands, whatever, and others he said basically will agree to disagree. But he didn't give any, any further detail.
But I'm so curious.
Because he can't.
Yeah.
He can't. He's
I'm
not
so curious.
He's not allowed. It is expected that those things, in terms of actual explanations, etc., will remain confidential. That was a statement from the Southeastern Conference.
You think if I emailed John McDade, be like, "Hey, John, you remember me from SEC Media Days in Dallas? We
Tall
made you
guy,
laugh."
long
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah, we made you laugh. We think you had a fun time with us. Can you just do me a solid? Can you send me those videos? Like, I promise I won't tell anybody." And then turn around and say right here. But like, come on, hook your boy up. Do us a solid.
Yeah, it'd be.
I would ask very nicely.
I'm sure you would. You're polite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents raised me well.
Yeah, you're a good Southerner, raised well, manners.
I'd say please and thank you.
Yeah, and he'll still say no.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yep. You can even thank him in advance, which I do sometimes.
Ooh, that's a good trick. That's a Jedi mind trick. Thank you in advance. How do you say no at that point? He said, "Well, I have to give it to him now, or else he'll retract the thank you."
Yep. So,
Jedi mind trick. That's how you do it. Veteran move, Jay Phillips.
But in the meantime, Shane did speak on other things as well. And we start here on, we don't know for sure what Lenoris Sellers' status is for this weekend. And remember, there will be no availability report issued this week because it's not a conference game. But you'll hear some things from the coach. But what's it looking like behind Lenoris if he's not ready?
Yeah, and we told Robbie and Davis they'll continue to compete this week, and Lenoris assures me he's good and will be ready to roll. But Robbie went into the LSU game as the second quarterback and came out of the LSU game as the second quarterback. He'll be better for it. Davis is someone that we have a lot of confidence in. There's no question about it, and we'll continue to develop everybody at every position.
And where would Luke Doty fit in, if at all, to quarterback?
He'd be in the mix as well. I think we'd be, dumb not to. And the thing with Luke all along, David, has been you go focus on receiver and special teams, but you're not getting too far away from quarterback. And Luke's a smart kid. I mean, he. We've gotten him some reps at quarterback periodically throughout the season already, and he doesn't miss a beat when he goes in there.
So there you go. I think the most important thing for fans that you heard in there is Lenoris has told Shane he's good to go. And I think Lenoris, listen, if you saw his postgame with Robbie, I think he felt he could have played. Now, I
certainly,
as I read between the lines, And, in some of the conversations I've had the last couple of days, I think the biggest concern from Shane and Dowell was, could Lenoris run effectively? Because that is part of how Dowell sets up Lenoris's play calls. And that if he wasn't going to be able to keep LSU honest, was that going to be a factor? That's the biggest takeaway I've gotten in the last couple of days, is there was the uncertainty there of his ability. He wasn't going to bust off another big run like he had early. And if you can't keep doing that, could you have still stood back there and thrown the ball and been a little mobile? Probably.
But, yeah, the mobility wouldn't be effective. And I think that's one of the reasons why the decision was made, too, is because Robbie being mobile was effective. Like, Robbie, after the game, was asked, and I think reasonably so, was asked if he thinks, like the coach's attitude towards him throwing the ball, if there's trust for him to throw the ball, because he only threw the ball 4 times.
Right.
And he played, for all intents and purposes, the entire second half. And he said, well, we're just gashing it. We're running the ball really well. Like, I know this coaching staff has faith in me to throw it, but we're running the ball down their throat. And they did. I mean, they ran the ball all over the field on him. I mean, again, in non-sack plays, you gained about 8 yards of rush on him. That's where your success was coming, was running the ball. And if Lenoris can't do that, and they want to stick to the plan of grounding and pounding and being able to just eat up chunks of the field and get into field goal range and being able to see what happens from there, then it does make a lot of sense. I think if you're able to run the ball at will against Akron, which you should be able to, if you did against LSU, you should be able to do it against Akron, and Lenoris isn't a threat to run the ball, I would reckon you see a lot of Robbie Ashford in this game. I'm not saying start,
right?
Because it wouldn't be terrible for Lenoris to get some reps in which he's not running around the place. Right. That would be a perfect game for him to get pocket passing reps. But if you still want to tap into that part of your offense, then maybe you do see a lot of Robbie Ashford certain spots in the game if Lenoris is good enough to just go.
Speaking of running the football well, South Carolina did, but obviously the bulk of that was Rocket Sanders. We saw Attaway come in after the long touchdown run just because, well, I think at that point Rocket needed at least a little bit of a breather. But Shane was asked today how they'd like to get the run game going with the guys behind young Mr. Sanders.
Yeah, one, we got to be able to play more. And we've been in games where we felt comfortable with Rocket, not just because of Rocket's ability as a running back, but Rocket from a pass protection standpoint, he's really good. And we like him in there. We just have a lot of confidence in him. But the biggest thing, we were in a dogfight Saturday, Jack, and it's hard to take guys out. And we got other guys in there. I mean, other running backs played, and Oscar was in there some. But I've coached running backs at 2 different schools, and you can't just ask one guy to play 60, 70 plays every game at that position. He's going to get worn down. So, one, we've got to be able to get other guys in there, whether that's Oscar, whether that's Juju, whether that's Jawarn Howell, Matthew Fuller. All those guys Brad Dunn, all those guys have been on every trip with us. They went to Kentucky. They've been in uniform and dressed out every game. They've got to continue to come along where we feel comfortable putting them in there, but we've also got to be willing to just, throw them in there and let them continue to develop and get better as well.
We'll have a lot more from Coach Beamer's press conference coming up for you in just a few minutes' time. Some other things that he's gotten to about the offense, the defense. Again, we've done some of the things on the officiating. May throw one more of the officiating answers out there so you can get an idea of where Shane is after hearing from the Southeastern Conference. Continuing, though, right now with our integrated media headlines of the day. This broke a little while ago while we were on the air. The Dolphins have officially placed Tua Tagovailoa on injured reserve. That means he will be out for at least 4 games. According to Marcel Louis-Jacques of ESPN, there is no timetable for how long Miami plans to keep him there. And even if he is going to return to the field. Again, it is the official 3rd diagnosed concussion of Tua's career. Initially, Coach Mike McDaniel said that Tua would not be placed on IR until more information became available. But the decision was made today with a little bit more, so they weren't sure exactly what that looked like. I feel like McDaniel had an idea, even going back to last week, that this was not going to be something like, yeah, we'll give him a week and see what happens.
this is way too serious to just give somebody a week and see what happens. Again, I think you put the proper emphasis on the proper word in that sentence of this is Tua's third diagnosed concussion.
Yeah.
Anybody that's, familiar with CTE or, the effects of, repeated head trauma over the course of time and, the nature of football sometimes, as great as the trainers are in the sport for almost every college, every pro team, they're some of the best in the world at what they do. It is so hard to diagnose every single concussion. A lot of them do kind of fall beneath the cracks, and somebody can be concussed and it not be properly diagnosed. And, Tua's play, he's 26 years old, has probably been playing football since he was 9, 10, give or take. So you're playing 16 years. These 3 that he's gotten in the last 3 years probably aren't the only ones he's had as well. So this is not something that you can just take a week or, a night or two to sleep on. He's going to need all 4 of these weeks that he's on IR to really consider if it's worth it to continue playing the sport to the detriment of the health of his brain.
Skylar Thompson will continue to start for Miami. And he was good a couple of years ago when Lamar got hurt in Baltimore. And let me look here. I know Tyler Huntley is who they have signed. I'm just looking at that. Also from Baltimore.
Former Pro Bowler.
Yeah. So both those guys are. Huntley is in his 5th season out of Utah. So he's the backup. And the NFL's rules mandate that Huntley, he was signed from the Ravens practice squad, but the rules mandate that the Dolphins must keep him for at least 3 games. So they can't shuffle on the 53 man. Yeah, you can't we can go get somebody else here. So
not like in fantasy football.
Yeah, he's got to hang around for at least 3 games. But Skylar Thompson is the starting quarterback, who's also, again, been to a Pro Bowl a couple of years ago when he was filling in for the injured Lamar Jackson. But we just continue to wish Tua all the best. That's just, it's a tough situation there. A couple of final notes on our integrated media headlines. Braves thumped last night by the L.A. Dodgers, so they split the series 2 games apiece, but coupled that with a Mets win, and the Braves are once again staring up at the playoffs, a game behind New York, who they see next week. It's getting tight now. It's just 1 game that the Mets are ahead of the Braves. But the Braves, I won't bore you with the numbers because the Braves had a couple of nice games against the Dodgers on Friday and Saturday. But in the last 2 nights, in 18 innings, they've scored a combined 2. And that's not going to get it done.
It's not a lot, is it?
No, it's not a lot.
Unfortunately,
unless the other team scores
lately.
Yeah, unless the other team scores 0 or 1.
And those are W's.
Then it's plenty. But last week they had a big win against Washington, but it was sandwiched between 2 games where the Braves scored a run in each loss.
Which there's been a lot of in the last month.
Yeah, they're just not scoring runs, man. And Ozzie Albies is going to get his rehab started tonight for the Gwinnett Stripers. I know they're on the road somewhere. It doesn't really matter against whom. There's a hope that he could be back this weekend for Atlanta. But when you're missing Austin Riley and you're missing Ozzie Albies and you're missing the MVP, Ronald Acuna, eventually it just starts to catch up in terms of how teams are pitching against you. And that's what's happening with the Braves. The Braves can still pitch quite well most of the time.
Well, I was going to say, you still have the Cy Young winner, the guy who's going to win the Cy Young.
Yeah.
I would be stunned if anyone
he could pitch,
wins the Cy Young.
If he could pitch 3 nights a week, that'd be great. But he can't.
Nope. I'm afraid those the days of pitchers doing that are even longer.
Or again, allow me to take that 12-run win last week, 12-0 over Washington, and spread those runs around a little bit. Like I'll take a 2-0 win against Washington, and then apply, say, 2 or 3 runs here and there. That seems fair.
You'd win the division at that point.
Fair and doable,
considering how very few teams have been able to hit the Braves pitching staff.
Yes. That's our integrated media headlines of the day, 803-948-8327 for all of your home theater needs, dreams, wants. Integrated media makes it happen. Football season and beyond. And it's getting to be holiday time too. Just something to think about. I'm not trying to rush our lives away.
It's slowly approaching,
but it's
as it does every year.
803-948-8327. Call my good friends at Integrated Media for all your home theater needs. All right, come back on the other side. More from Shane Beamer's press conference today, looking ahead to Akron and just looking to make the Gamecocks better. You'll hear from the head coach when the postgame show returns.
Quick word, my friends over at Columbia Seeker for Weight Loss, a group that helped me achieve my weight loss goal in a very short amount of time. Now, it wasn't a gargantuan goal to try to lose, like 50 pounds, but it was me wanting to get back closer to what my basketball playing weight was, or my ideal basketball playing weight was, and I was able to achieve that in less than a month's time. That was 20 pounds in less than a month's time, and they did all this without any shots, without any pills, and just really great coaching. And now they're doing something to celebrate their 1 year of being in the Midlands, because they've helped so many people, quite like myself, over the past year to reach their weight loss goals. They're helping everybody else celebrate as well by doing a buy one, get one offer, so you can be able to do your weight loss journey with Columbia Secret for Weight Loss, also with a friend or a family member. Sounds good to you? Of course it does. Give them a call, 803-824-4210, 803-824-4210, or go to ColumbiaSecretForWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
I did. I know Coach Tanner had some conversations on Sunday, and typically if we send in plays each week, we usually get them back Monday night, and I got them back Monday night and watched. It's a video they send of the plays that we sent in, and then it's the plays sent back to you with a voiceover of the play, and received that last night about 9 p.m.
That was Shane answering a question on did he get any feedback? Yes. There was a further answer a minute or so later. It was basically Shane saying, look, we've gotten him back now, and what are we going to do other than move on?
Could you say that it was upon further review that he got it? No.
You know, he mentioned
if we didn't hear that enough on Saturday in that 4-hour game.
Yes. We need, who does the voiceover?
Oh, John McDade does.
No, I know, but I mean, they should get like some, really one of those.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Something like that.
Just give him a script, let him read over it.
Yeah. I mean, he's from Alabama. He's a football fan. He'd love that.
He's from Memphis.
Oh, is he from Memphis? I was thinking he grew up in Alabama.
Or Mississippi. Just kidding. No.
Mississippi.
He stays a lot in Memphis. I think he is from Mississippi.
Okay.
He's a huge Ole Miss fan.
Okay. My bad.
So on.
Sorry, Morgan. My bad.
Life's good for him right now.
Yeah. It's true. Speaking of which, well, we'll get into that later. Let's see. John hits us on Twitter. We were talking about raising revenues and such. John says, a new upper deck in the north end zone in spite of Dr. Eddie Floyd, because the building with his name would end up being taken down. Get it done, he puts in all caps. This one's hard for me, John. I don't know if Williams-Brice Stadium needs expansion.
It's pretty big.
You need to get to a point to where you're selling it out routinely at its current capacity.
Because then expanding it would cost money.
I would like to maybe see some level of enhancement in that area. But it's really difficult, I think, because that's where your Jumbotron is. May I also say publicly, I think the Floyd building is currently being, I don't want to say wasted, but underutilized. And I'll go ahead and give my 2 cents because that's part of my job. I think that building would be fantastic for an actual Gamecock Hall of Fame museum. I mean, there is a Hall of Fame, but it's in the ether. It's like before they built the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame building in Cleveland. They were inducting people into it. Yeah, but it was and that's what we have right now. I mean, all these years later, and there's still nowhere to go celebrate these people. That's a perfect spot. And that's a good building. I'm in that building every week. Bill and I do our TV show in there every week. Trust me, y'all, there's a lot of just empty in there right now. They may have some plans for it, but a lot of it's just empty. I mean, I get your point, John. So I'm not really pushing back too much. And I think you could enhance that area a little bit in and around the student section. But I wouldn't want to, again, like Coach Spurrier's old office. Man, I'm serious about this. I'd charge like $15,000 a game for somebody to sit there and like have your friends, like a birthday party.
The space you could rent out for a birthday party.
And I don't know if $15,000's enough. I mean, I'm just throwing a number out there.
Cocky can make an appearance.
Yeah. I mean, make some money off of that
easily.
But I don't. Again, I don't know that the stadium needs expansion. Enhancement is one thing, but sell Williams-Brice out a bunch. Because like this weekend, it's not going to sell out. Now, I get who the opponent is.
You telling me people haven't grown up their entire lives wanting to watch Akron football?
Just throwing it out there.
Couldn't be me.
But I think again, let's settle into what you've got, because you've built some new club spaces, right? And you've made those, again, enhancements. But I don't know if you need another upper deck. I mean, Carolina doesn't need a 90,000-seat stadium, in my personal opinion.
Mm-mm.
You're at 80 now, and that's...
I don't think the cost outweighs the benefit.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you'd have to move the Jumbotron, and where are you going to put that? You know, and it's a pretty cool Jumbotron.
I think it's beautifully set up as is.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, could you do a little bit around it? Maybe. But that ain't cheap, man.
Mm-mm.
That ain't cheap. To build new football stadium, even a little bit of it, that ain't cheap.
Use it for players.
Yeah.
That money can be there, but use it for players.
That's right. Speaking of players, real quick, I just realized that we did not even congratulate Brett yesterday on the Wild Card Showdown. Brett and Billy were our players. Brett went 4-1, man.
Yeah, he was on fire.
Only game he missed was Missouri, who did win their game but did not cover the 15.5 against Boston College. Billy went 2-3. So did Elijah. And I went 1-4. So,
what?
1-4.
Oh, okay. I gained a game this week.
That's right.
Little by little, baby. Little by little. Pacing myself.
The only game I won was the Bucks covering the 7.5 at 10. They won outright in Detroit.
They did.
Which
Bucks are good.
Which I didn't pick. I think I picked a cover, but I think I said Detroit win by like 3.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the Buccaneers sneaky
They're pretty good. Yeah, they're pretty good.
I don't like it, but they are good.
But I went 1-4. Yeah, you went 2-3. The tiebreaker stat was pass yards for Kentucky after a woeful performance against the Gamecocks. They ended up with 114. Didn't really come into play. But on the season, yours truly now 6-9.
Nice.
Elijah 4-11.
Oh, we're so back. I can almost taste this comeback right now.
We'll do it again.
I can almost taste it. I can feel myself getting close.
We'll do it again this weekend.
Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear, Jay Phillips.
Cut number 4 on Shane Beamer's list today, please, sir. This was an interesting question and answer. The question was, Shane, is it your job as head coach to make sure that Lenoris Sellers is protected from Lenoris Sellers?
Yeah, but we're trying to win a game Saturday night, and that's not going to be easy either. And I know it's easy to say, well, this is not an SEC team, and they're 1-2, and they lost to Ohio State and Rutgers. This team presents problems, and we've got to do what we have to do to win the football game on Saturday. But certainly we're always going to do what's best for our players and our football team. But we've got a bunch of competitors, and Saturday, Lenoris wanted to play in that game. I didn't think it was best for him or the team for him to finish the second half. From a health standpoint, I just didn't think he was where he needed to be. So certainly if a guy's where he needs to be, and any position, quarterback or kicker or whatever, if they feel like they're where they need to be in order to play, and we feel like they're where they need to be, then we're going to get them out there for sure.
They gave it a go. As we said, the game altered. We talked a lot about it. The adjustments Carolina had to make relative to the adjustments that LSU had to make were due primarily to the fact that you had your number 2 quarterback in, and there was a difference. I don't want to say there was a marked drop-off, but Lenoris has come into his own throwing the football. He's not Peyton Manning or anything, but you've seen the progression. And as you pointed out, the first couple of drives, I mean, they were doing really well,
magnificent,
and they wanted that element out there, and they didn't have it, and that's unfortunate. And yet you were still right there till the end. And again, a couple of things that you did, and yes, one thing that likely went against you, but even again, when Ashford fumbles that football or has it taken from him, like protect that ball.
Well, it's been 7 fumbles in the last 2 games?
I mean,
that's
just
way
little things,
too much. Most of them being in your own territory.
More from Shane during the drive around the SEC. Real quick, Justin, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Doing good, guys. How about you?
Good, man.
Hey, guys, it's been rough with these West Feeds. I'll tell you, man, the same guy who called the game in 2020, I don't understand why he's still coaching, still to be the West Feeds. It's kind of ridiculous,
Yeah, listen, it's one of those things, man. One of those things. Yeah, and you can
chalk it up as one of those things.
Yeah, move on. I get it. All right, drive around the SEC. We told you about Tennessee looking to raise money. Ole Miss just got an infusion of cash that they didn't want. Explain in the drive around. AAA Heating and Air has a brand new contest for you out here. But listen, here's the deal. It works like this. How old is your HVAC system? Like, do you know? If you go outside, maybe you're like doing some yard work and you see it, is it like all rusty and broken down looking? Well, go to myoldAir.com. Tell AAA Heating and Air about how old your current system is, and you'll be in the drawing for a brand new HVAC system. You heard me right. For every 100 entries at myoldAir.com, they will pick out a winner for a brand new system. Now, it's only open to folks in their Midlands service area, and all the rules and details are on the website. So if it's time for something new, hey, you might get one on them. Go to myoldAir.com. Learn all of what our good friends at AAA Heating and Air can do for you. Love what they've done at my house. You will too. Tell them we sent you, and stay comfortable with AAA Heating and Air.
From the WIS Traffic Studios, I'm Elijah Campbell. A few accidents to get to. They're causing some issues on the roadways, starting with one on Assembly Street near Calhoun Street, another one on Bull Street near Jefferson Street, another accident on Clemson Road near North Springs, one on Gervais Street near Millwood Avenue. Got one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road at Brickyard Road. South Carolina 277 northbound at I-20, Shop Road at South Beltline Boulevard, Summit Parkway at Clemson Road, and on US 378 at I-77. In Lexington County, it looks like there are two active accidents, one on Highway 1 at Augusta Road at I-20, and then another one on Platte Springs Road at South Lake Drive.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Tuesday. Welcome back in. Jay and Elijah with you. We will start with that story I teased there at the end of the last segment. If you saw over the weekend, Ole Miss went to Wake Forest and beat the Deacs 40-6. It was the first of the home and home between the two. Only now there's not going to be a return to Oxford.
Boo.
Lane Kiffin, after the ball game, said that Wake Forest had come to Ole Miss and basically said, hey, there's a buyout clause of $1 million in the contract. We're going to write y'all a check for $1 million and get out of it. Lane Kiffin expounded on that in his press conference this week, saying that's rarely ever done. I've never really heard of doing it, and it really puts us at a big disadvantage. It is what it is. It obviously wasn't appreciated very much, them putting us in that situation. Now we've got to go find somebody, and most people are all scheduled up. And even when you find somebody, you've got to go pay them. It's kind of an unwritten rule not to do that, actually. This was Ole Miss's Power 4 game that is mandated by the conference, non-con game for next season as well. Two things. One is tongue-in-cheek. The other is more serious. One, Lane, don't worry about it. You'll be Florida's coach next year, and you got FSU. You're good. Two.
That's looking more and more likely every single week.
Two, Washington State and Oregon State still need games, plural. Just call one of them. Seriously.
But they still count as Power 4. I thought about that. Would they still count as a Power 4 program, considering the Pac-12 might be Bac-12, but it's not going to be considered a quote-unquote power conference?
I was under the impression that it would until next, 26, but
I think your boy has found a gray area.
It's not cool.
Ask Washington if Washington State's a Power 4 school.
Yeah.
Apple Cup. Got smacked.
They did. But Washington, that's just all they have that looks the same as last year's team is the uniforms, man.
That's it. That's quite literally it.
No, this is it's not cool. And there are a lot of folks who I'd be curious to know what the conversations between Dave Clawson and AD John Curry were like. Why do you want to get out of this? I mean, are they better than you? Well, yeah, okay. But you still need to go play these games, and you did sign a contract. And John Curry, as a guy who's been AD at Kansas State, he's been an AD at Tennessee, he's now the AD at Wake Forest. My point being, he knows how hard it is to schedule. He knows what football scheduling looks like at a big-time program, in a big-time conference. And you do, I mean, yeah, okay. And look, $1 million is $1 million, duh. But $1 million to the University of Mississippi in 2024-25?
Not moving much of a needle.
No, they'd rather, I mean, that will be a down payment. And you're going to have to go, and I don't know who has games.
That's another question, because all of these are scheduled years in advance.
Yeah. I mean, especially non-cons, right? Especially non-cons. So, I mean, and again, so I don't know. I mean, are you calling Syracuse? Are you calling Iowa State?
What's so crazy, too, about Wake Forest bailing out on this game, this kind of just now occurred to me, is that they're doing so when Ole Miss is going to look completely different next year. There's no guarantee that they rehaul. There's a lot of players that will be gone after this year. This isn't a stupid loaded team right now. If there's any year to play Ole Miss, it would be to do it next year when so many players will be leaving to either get drafted or they have no more eligibility. That's the wild thing. Hard to project a year out with teams that build through the transfer portal, but do you catch lightning in a bottle twice? Florida State's learning the lesson the hard way that it's really difficult to replicate transfer portal built team success year after year after year because you're going to have some duds. And there's so many players in this Ole Miss team that will not be back next year, and they can be ripe for a serious regression, especially if there is no Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
So why do this now is another completely puzzling aspect of it.
And Lane mentioned that in terms of what you say, why do this now? I know it's not quite where you were going for, but, Lane mentioned, why would you do it the week we're going to play you? You let us know. Tell us, because you've known for longer. Mm-hmm. It isn't like you got the scouting report and went, oh, boy, I tell you what. I mean, again, I'd go do that.
These guys are good.
Yeah, I'd go do that. Take your fans to Oxford. I know Wake's fans don't travel that much, and it's not a big school, but it is bad timing, and it is a bad look for John Curry, who doesn't have a lot of friends in the Southeastern Conference anyway, from what I understand. But
John Curry has a little bit of a complicated legacy in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah,
I think that might be the nicest way of saying it.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see where that one goes. But again, Lane, don't sweat it, bud. You'll be in Florida next year.
I know Billy Napier won't be. I'm surprised he still is.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, let's look real quick. Florida at Mississippi State this weekend. There's still only a handful of conference games, but at least a few more now. That'll be the noon kick. Arkansas at Auburn is one of the 3:30 games. UCLA at LSU is the other 3:30 game. That'll be the one that's on the network on ABC. Arkansas and Auburn on ESPN at the same time. LSU, by the way, a 24-point favorite over UCLA. Vanderbilt is at Missouri. And the big conference game of the weekend, in my opinion, is Tennessee going to Oklahoma. The Sooners are getting 7 points in this game.
Oh, wow. That is ripe for an underdog pick. Ripe for it. Home underdogs like that, especially with the way that house is going to be rocking for their first ever SEC home game.
Yeah.
Playing against, Nico Iamaleava has been slinging it across the yard. This will be his first true road game as a starter in all of college football. That's tough, man. That's really tough. But this game can make or break both of these teams because they both have difficult schedules ahead. They both have really, really talented teams with maybe a couple question marks. Oklahoma more so. Obviously, that's how you become a 7-point underdog at home. But this is like the first massive measuring stick game for both of these teams. That's a fun one. That's a really fun one to keep an eye on.
By the way, don't anybody tell me how hot it is here. The high temperature forecast for Columbia Saturday night against Akron is 79. By the way, the Gamecocks have ticked up a point to now 28-point favorites over the Zips. The forecast high in Norman is 93.
Oh.
The good news is this game kicks at 6:30 local, so it maybe only be like 90.
It'll tick down a little bit.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be hot.
It's hot everywhere. Don't like it.
Getting 7.
At home?
At home.
Home underdogs by a whole touchdown? Man, at least the spread. You're betting the spread on that one. That feels delicious. That's one you'd actually sprinkle a little bit of money line on just because. Home field magic is very much so a thing in this conference.
Yeah. Over under a 57.5. Over. I think this game gets into the 30s.
Oh, man. See, like from a football standpoint, Tennessee should crush them because Oklahoma's offense has not been very good, or at least convincing, with Jackson Arnold. I know they put up a ton of points on Temple and took them a little bit on Tulane, and I know they struggled to put up points against Houston. The defense is solid. Any Brent Venables coach team will have a solid defense, but Tennessee ain't giving up an offensive touchdown this year. I don't care who you're playing. Going 3 games without giving up a touchdown as a defensive unit, that is mighty impressive.
The computer gives Tennessee a 71% chance to win.
Good Lord. Wow.
Oklahoma may as well just quit playing football.
Computer said so. Back it up, kids.
That's the drive around the SEC brought to you by Herndon Chevy. Save $20,000 on new Silverados. Together, let's drive. More from Shane Beamer as the postgame show continues. Welcome back in. Final few minutes of the Postgame Show here on this Tuesday evening. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Running a poll question at 1075thegame.com on the Twitters.
That's right.
How we doing?
So today's question was the biggest positive takeaway for the Gamecocks from Saturday is it the offensive execution in the first half? Mm-hmm. Is it the pressure you got against LSU's offensive tackles? Mm-hmm. Is it Rocket Sanders doing Rocket Sanders stuff or other? Oh. And so far, pretty narrow gap here. Yeah. Offensive execution in the first half at 36.5%. Rocket Sanders, being a revelation, was 32%. And the pressure against LSU's offensive tackles at 27%. And then at 4.5% is other. And some of those who elaborate on that, offensive line execution is the only option we haven't seen proven at some point. And then it says other, the team improving as a whole. So just a whole team improvement scope right there. I voted offensive execution in the first half because that was the big question. After using Old Dominion as the baseline going into the year, we're like, damn, defense really good. They are going to get to every single quarterback they play this year. Zero questions about how good the defense is. It won them that first game. But what's the offense? And that was a big concern. And they've gradually gotten better with Lenoris at quarterback over these 3 games.
I would agree with your assessment, and I would agree with that as the choice I would vote for, because it does show you, you can include Rocket in some of that too, but it does show you more of what you can look like and what you can continue to progress toward.
The full scope of your offense kind of exists in that.
I mean, it was, listen, I think the others are fine choices. You did go up against 2 NFL. Certainly one of them will be a first-round pick. I don't know if both those tackles will be first-round picks. Let's wait and see how the season plays out. And it's good to see Rocket Sanders gaining confidence. Even if you take away his big play, we had a caller talk about that yesterday. You didn't take away the big play. He was still averaging a pretty good number per attempt.
And he was moving the chains. Yeah. Like, that's the thing with running. Like, sometimes I can understand, judging a running game by like the scope, or maybe not like taking out one big run. Like, I get it. And I understand the traditional ways of evaluating a run game, but to me, the bare minimum, can I trust you on 3rd and short to move the chains? They moved the chains.
Yeah, they were
on 3rd and short.
On that note, I know you had a question along the offensive lines for the coach this afternoon.
That's right. Yeah. So I wanted to ask Shane, because in that first half they were humming. Like, that first drive of the game, that scripted drive, was methodical. You ran the ball really well. You were able to get past the sticks in your passing game. Lenoris was able, later on in the first quarter too, connect on a long pass to Jared Brown. That was the second quarter. But either way, in the first half, able to connect on a long pass to Jared Brown. That was the best we've seen this offense all season long. And I felt like that was a nice culmination of the improvements they've made over the last 3 weeks. So I wanted to ask, what Shane thought was the thing that he has seen the most improvement from this offense just from week 1 to now.
Yeah, I think just continuing to get
Let's try this again.
Hang on.
This computer with a fiery passion. I'm going to break it. You know how Ryan Brewer felt?
I think just continuing to get just more and more comfortable and confident, and that's what's going to happen when you are basically starting 3 freshmen in a lot of ways and a redshirt freshman quarterback. When you talk about Mazio, Josiah, Mike Smith, receivers in camp, and Dre that weren't here in the springtime, with each rep, each game, they're just going to continue to get more and more confident and comfortable. And
all right, well, we'll get the rest of it.
I'm going to lose it.
No, that's okay. I don't want you to break anything.
Too late.
But
that's wonderful.
Well, if you can't get it out, but
we'll play it tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine. It'll
when
be
we transfer it to another computer.
But you were there, so you can. And there was only a few seconds left, honestly. So.
Yeah. So basically, the gist was, the freshmen that are being relied upon to play a significant role in this offense are more comfortable. He's talking about Lenora Sellers, Mazio Bennett, Michael Smith. They've grown into a little bit, and you saw in the Kentucky game specifically Mazio Bennett's growth from just the first week to the second, and how comfortable he is at finding gaps and being able to, when the pocket breaks down, find an open spot in the field and help you move the chains. He also mentioned what I really was hoping he'd get to is the scripting Like they're executing the scripting, and that allows Dow Loggins to be at his best whenever he's scripting the first, 10 to 15 plays of each game, and your team is now a little more cohesive to the point where you can execute that game plan. I know this sounds simple and very basic, but sometimes the simple and very basic things can make a huge difference in your offense being just competent and bad, right? But they're able to execute a lot of those things and be able to apply the script for a game. And I think they have a good grasp of what they can do well, what they can't do well. And I thought a really interesting thing towards the end of the answer was that he mentioned that, from a game-by-game basis, the passing game plan is not going to change too much. They might put in a little wrinkle of certain motion from one side of the formation to the other. But for the most part, the route trees, the passing concepts are going to be the same all season long. The biggest change in offensive game plan is going to be blocking schemes and run game scheme. So now that they've been able to get a little bit of momentum going on the offensive side of the ball with the passing game, that should be sustainable for the rest of the year because it's the same thing they'll be running all season long. So if the receivers are understanding the route tree now, the passing game starts clicking, being a little more cohesive now, it should be still even getting better and better by the time you go through October and November.
You get the chance to close out this month 3-1, and despite the disappointment of last Saturday, I think the vast majority of folks would have taken that, knowing what was on the board for this team coming into the season. And then you've got another big opportunity in a couple of weeks. So go get better this weekend. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Coordinators speak as well. See y'all. And happy birthday, Ryan Brewer.